Tonight, a major development project in St. Thomas is at the epicenter of a growing debate. Supporters say it represents jobs, investment, and a boost to Jamaica's food security. Critics, however, have raised concerns about safety, environmental impact, and whether enough consultation took place before construction began. Also tonight, the developers respond to those concerns. Also, Jamaica has entered a new chapter in its tourism industry. The country has issued its first ever casino operator's license, marking what the government describes as a historic milestone. But what are the social, moral, and economic implications of bringing casino gaming to the island? We'll get the perspective of the church. And later, new changes to Jamaica's medical cannabis regulations aim to open the industry to more small farmers and community operators. Will the reforms deliver on their promise? And FIFA's plan to sell a stake in a new multi-billion-dollar commercial company has sparked international outrage, with UEFA accusing the world governing body of putting the soul of football up for sale. We examined what it could mean for the future of the sport. I'm Tyrone Reed, and this is The Lead Story. Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. Earlier this week, concerns were raised about the development of an aquaculture pond, or aquaculture ponds, plural, near the Barking Lodge Primary and Infant School in St. Thomas. Questions were asked about student safety, the approval process, and whether sufficient consultation took place before construction began. The developers have now responded. They say the project is being undertaken on private property and in accordance with the guidance, approvals, and requirements of the relevant government authorities. They also say water will not be introduced into the ponds until perimeter fencing has been completed and the area has been fully secured. The developers further state that consultations were held with the principal of the school before construction started, and that they remain committed to the safety of the students, staff, and residents. They have also announced their intention to donate the land currently used as the school's football field, while maintaining that the proposed aquaculture ponds are located beyond that recreational space. They argue the project could create jobs, improve food security, attract new investment, and help revitalize a community that has experienced limited economic development since the decline of the sugar industry. At the same time, the developers expressed concern that the issue has become increasingly politicized, arguing that the emphasis should be on safe, responsible, and lawful development. So tonight, what assurance can be given to parents? What approvals have been received? And how will the project balance development, community development with public safety? Dr. Michelle Charles, she's a director of St. Thomas Farms Limited, and she joins me now. Top of the evening to you, Dr. Charles. Thanks so much for making it Lead Story.
Good evening. Thank you for asking me to join this conversation. It's a very important conversation. So I'm here. Indeed,
and we appreciate you joining. Of course, Dr. Charles is out of country, but she has so graciously accepted to be with us here this evening. Dr. Charles, the suggestion is that you're putting the children at risk. Is that true?
Oh, I would never do that. Never, never do that. And not only are we developers, but I'm a mother and I'm also a doctor. So you know that's just something I would never do. Tyrone, we love children first and foremost. And second of all, the same playfield that we're talking about has been donated by the developers. So you know we really do appreciate all that the Barking Lodge Primary School's teachers and the principal are doing to help the students in our community.
And the MP for the area, and also we should tell our listeners that Dr. Charles is the former Member of Parliament for St. Thomas Eastern, I believe it is, yes? And yes. It is located in the constituency, yes?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And you represented the Jamaica Labour Party. Now, the current MP, the person you lost the seat to, is raising concerns. You are saying here and now that this development, this project has become increasingly politicized. Why do you say that?
Yes. Well, because we often see many of the opposition members of parliament cars driving through, and they're sending videos and having meetings and just inciting a lot of violence. And frankly, Tyrone, I don't really want to think about the political aspect of it all. This project is an important project for the community. We have lost so much in the last few years with the sugar industry going down. And we were in discussion with the principal at Barking Lodge Primary School prior to the first digging of the pond. She and I talked for quite some time about it. All approvals were done. We are monitored by the Ministry of Fisheries. And we are even considering having some of the students come in and observe what fish farming can do in our community.
And did
So
you... go ahead, complete your thought, Dr. Charles.
So I said we are fully guided, and the principal for the school is on board with us.
What of approval from the NEPA, the National Environment and Planning Agency? Did your entity secure those approvals?
All approvals have been secured. We went through, my letter first started with the Ministry of Fisheries. So I'm fully guided by them. They do this often. This is the first large commercial project on the East Coast. So you know that they're very excited. So all of that is done through them.
And no pun intended here, so I would suppose that your argument here, Dr. Charles, and again I must say no pun is intended, that this call by the current MP doesn't hold water then, because she's calling for, and that's Rosemary Shaw, and in this release I want to read a section of it for you and for our viewers. It says, Member of Parliament for St. Thomas Eastern, Rosemary Shaw, is calling for the National Environment and Planning Agency, NEPA, to urgently investigate the construction of fish ponds adjacent to the Barking Lodge Primary and infant school following widespread complaints from residents of the community. But you're saying you've already secured the necessary permits, including permits from NEPA. Is that the case?
Not only, and Tyrone, she even called for the municipal corporation to be giving us permits and all of that. But the municipal corporation, as she knows, she definitely knows, they're only involved when it comes to building. I spoke to the municipal corporation, which is the local government, the CEO. We're not even doing any buildings. They're aware of the fencing. Everyone that needs to know is fully aware. The persons that she is speaking about in the community, we don't experience that. We live there. I live in that area where I'm just right down the road. We have increased jobs. So many persons have been working. All of the cook shops in the area have increased their money over the last couple of days, couple of weeks. So we are an asset to our community. We would never do something that's going to be negative to our community.
Dr. Charles, could you tell the people of Jamaica what spawned the initiative, this idea for these aquaculture ponds to be built, and what's the aim of it?
Well, the aim of it is to actually bring something that is not on this side, this coast. It's not there, and it's very much needed. That's first and foremost. We're blessed because the area that we chose, I wouldn't say we chose, the area that had the highest amount of clay is the area that was chosen by the ministry. So we checked quite a few spots, and that spot had the level of clay that was needed when the soil was checked. So that's why we chose that area. Permit of fencing is already on the way. So when they call for fencing, I'm like, but don't they see the fencing right there? The only reason why it's not fully fenced as yet is because all chain link fence is on back order right now in Jamaica. There's so much prosperity going on. We can't get enough fencing right now in Jamaica. So you did commit,
and it's important that we highlight this point, Dr. Charles, because I did read this in your statement to the media. You did commit to not having the ponds commissioned until all the permit to fencing is in place.
Why would we, Tyrone? We started the project when school ended, just to make sure, because we know the children are curious. But we also have so much livestock. They're all climbing and running in there and trying to mess up our dikes. So we definitely have to have fencing. It's just logical. It's just because of it being on back order why it's not moving as quickly as we want it to.
And when do you suppose this development, this project will be completed? And also, if you could explain to the people of Jamaica what will happen in these aquaculture ponds.
Well, the project being completed is really based a lot on what we can receive. We would not put one drop of water if we can't get the entire area fenced. So that will delay it as much as, until we can receive that. What to expect from the ponds? It's an investment. It is an investment into the community. It is investment in something that I am doing personally. We're expecting to have quite a lot of fish in time for the new year.
Indeed. So you'll be basically fish will be harvested in this area for sale. That's basically what this
Correct.
is about.
Mm-hmm. Import and export.
And you'll be employing people from the community to work at this time?
Definitely from the community. All of Eastern St. Thomas, actually.
All from Eastern. So the employees will all come from the constituency.
That is my aim.
Now,
I'm pro St. Thomas Eastern. That hasn't changed.
Now, let me ask you, let me continue to read for you. We're almost out of time, but the statement from the MP for the area says on July 24, 2026, MP Shaw formally wrote to NEPA requesting an immediate investigation into the development after receiving numerous reports from concerned constituents regarding the apparent construction of an aquaculture facility in close proximity to the school, as well as allegations that public access to the adjoining beach has been obstructed and sections of the public roadway excavated. You've already addressed the NEPA thing. Let me ask you about the point on the allegations of public access to the beach being blocked off and sections of the roadway excavated. Could you respond to those two claims?
Well, let me quickly say to you that they are, first of all, it's private property, but the area that she's speaking about is extremely important to me because there are several public access points to the beach. If you've never been there, let me let you know. There are many access points to the beach that are open. There's any other area that is closed. But the section that they're talking about is important to them, so it's thus very important to me. That area is a little trail. The culvert is broken, completely broken. There's no vehicle that can cross over there. It's bushed, it's filled with boulders. And I said, if the member of parliament really is considering being a good member of parliament, I challenge her and encourage her to invite people to come down, even Chase Bank or use her CDF to fix this road. Make it a road that's accessible. Make the beach a public beach that we will be proud of.
So you haven't blocked access. You haven't blocked access to the beach. That claim is not true.
No. We have a gate there because there's so much livestock that's going in and damaging all that we put down there. It's not even locked, but you can't drive down there because it's separated. There's a broken culvert there. Okay. So most people are using the other access that they have to the beach. Okay,
but the point is, and I just want to be clear on this point, Dr. Charles, you're not blocking access to the beach. That claim is false.
No, I'm not blocking access to the beach. There are many other access points to the beach. The area that has the gate, I encourage the member of parliament to join with Chase Fund or use her CDF to make the road acceptable for persons to be able to walk. There's no good road there to walk to that beach.
Dr. Michelle Charles, Director of St. Thomas Farms Limited. Of course, she's also the caretaker candidate for the Jamaica Labour Party in St. Thomas Eastern. Former Member of Parliament as well. Thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Indeed.
Good night, everyone.
This is Leach Story. We take a break right here and come back with more.
Get ready for school with Chris and Charles. From July 9 to August 31, enjoy a low interest rate on loans of $1.5 and $2 million. Plus, get 25% off the processing fee on loans of $1 million Jamaican dollars and above. You could also qualify for one of 50 ready for school grants worth 60,000 Jamaican dollars each. Visit your nearest Chris and Charles branch or www.chrisandcharles.com for details. When you think loans, think Chris Chris and Charles. Conditions apply.
Jamaica's unemployment rate has fallen to 3.3%, down from 13.2% in 2016. Our government's continued focus on job creation is delivering real results. We are building Jamaica. The time by the Office of the Prime Minister is...
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Let's delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orville Higgins, and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top sporting stories. Hear from your favorite sportsmen and women and the administrators who work tirelessly to make it all happen. It's live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yes.
Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central.
Welcome back. This is Lead Story. I'm Tyrone Reid. Wednesday, July 29, 2026 marked an historic moment for Jamaica's gaming industry. The Casino Gaming Commission has issued the country's first casino gaming operator's license to Adamas Grand Casino Limited, which will operate the proposed casino at the Princess Grand Jamaica Resort in Hanover. The government says this represents a major step in building a modern, well-regulated economy. The project is valued at approximately $800 million and is expected to create hundreds of jobs, expand Jamaica's tourism product, and attract further foreign investment. While many see the development as an economic milestone, others continue to raise questions about its social implications. How should Jamaica balance economic development with the moral, social, and family impact of expanding casino gaming? Bishop Christine Gooden is the immediate past president of the Jamaica Council of Churches, and she joins me now. Top of the evening to you. Welcome to Lead Story, Bishop.
A pleasant good afternoon. Thanks for having me with you. Yes.
And that should be Bishop Christine Gooden Benguche. Benguche. I hope we thank you so very much. Now, you've heard of the granting of the license by the Casino Gaming Commission. They've told us, appeared right here on this program last evening, that gambling won't necessarily begin immediately, perhaps closer to the end of the year. Between then and now, what does the church hope to achieve?
With regards to the fact that this has been granted?
Between now and then, yes.
Well, certainly it is something that we will have to bring to the fore again, because it was something that we had been looking at and in fact placing statements, because it's a position, as far as gambling is concerned, it was a position that we as the church at that time, and I still believe where we are opposed to the legalizing of casino gambling in Jamaica. And because of the implications of it, yes, it has implications for economic growth. But at the same time, we have to weigh the balances in terms of the advantages and disadvantages of allowing this in the nation at this time, because of the moral situation that confronts us, the fact of the detrimental implications for family life, for mental health, and for the situations that it will create in our nation, particularly as it relates to our families, because the persons who are going to be affected are family members. So while it will improve conditions economically for others, we have to look at whether that kind of initiative will, in the long run, augur best for the development of this nation or take us down a road that is going to create further deterioration of the moral fabric of our society.
Bishop Benguche, is the church calling for the license to be rescinded?
Well, what has happened now, as I indicated before, this has not been a matter that we have been dealing with in the latter days here. But I know that based on the last arguments that we had presented, not only as Jamaica Council of Churches, and I think the last presentation was in 2009, when our outgoing president, Carl Johnson, had indicated in terms of the consensus that the call for moral leadership in our nation, and the fact that we did not have at that time the support of the people of this nation through the survey, that they did not support gambling. And even through the joint group of the Jamaica Umbrella Groups of Churches, there was also a consensus at that time that we did not approve of the legalizing of casino gambling. Because in essence, when we look at the definition, if we want to look at that in terms of gambling, the possession of money, I may quote from Douglas Mackenzie on the ethics of gambling. Gambling is defined as the determination of the possession of money or money value by an appeal to an artificially created chance, where the gains of the winners are made at the expense of the losers, and the gain is secured without rendering in service of value an equivalent of the gains that are obtained. And
if I may, the short answer to the question I'm asking, is the JCC calling for the license to be rescinded? The short answer to that would be yes or no.
No, and this is what I'm saying. I said at that time, it's not something that we have raised in recent times. And so I was just bringing back to fore that the position that we had then, up to when we last discussed it, would have been to rescind this at that time. But now that this license has been granted, certainly we would have to revisit it. So that's why I did not intentionally say to you, yes, because we have not revisited it in recent times. But based on where we are, the position would have been negative.
A position on this?
Sorry, I did not hear that.
I'm sorry. So you would have to do a sort of Kingston Council before you determine what the position is on whether or not the JCC is calling for the license to be rescinded.
Yes, for me to say that this afternoon, yes, certainly.
Indeed. All right. How would you react to those who are listening to you and they're saying the church is out of touch, Bishop Gooden Benguche? How would you respond to that? Because the detractors might say the church sounds anti-prosperity. This is US $800 million we're talking about. That can do wonders for the people of this country, including the poor. What would you say to that?
And this is what I was trying to say in the beginning, that when we look at the gains as opposed to the losses as it relates to the granting, yes, there is an economic benefit. Yes, persons who are without jobs are going to be employed. Yes, we are looking at the amount of money that is coming in, but ultimately where this will take us, does it justify what we are going to gain at this time? And I would say that no, the church is not out of touch with what is happening within the world, but we have to also look at the moral obligation and the fact that we are the moral compasses in the society, because in the long run, when we undermine and displace the value of the family because of what will happen as a result of gambling in our nation, then it's going to take us further into corruption. And that's what we have been trying to come back from as a nation. And we have been combating this. And I don't think that as church, where I am certainly, that this is going to take us to a better place.
And Bishop Bengucci, for those who are looking on and they're saying, how is casino gaming any different from the other forms of gambling taking place?
Sir, gambling in any form has a negative connotation. Because first of all, from the Christian perspective, if I'm really to go to scripture, when we look at the fact that stewardship, we are called, first of all, to be accountable and responsible for the management of our resources. And I'm not seeing that happening when we go down this road. And also we are encouraged in the word that the place of work is important, not a game of chance, at the expense of others. Because yes, I will win 10 million, 5 million, 45 million, or even more. But at whose expense, and what happens to that shattered life or lives after they lose? I will be the winner, but somebody else or an entire family suffers. And what I'm trying to get back to is, does the end justify the means ultimately for us as a nation?
I'm actually happy that you've gone on the grounds of the scriptures, because for those who are watching and listening on and they are saying, look, we've looked at the 10 commandments and the other things in the scriptures. Where does it say thou shalt not gamble?
Well, there is a passage, if in terms of us, look, when we look at creation, let me see if I can quickly think, perhaps not directly saying to us that you should not gamble, but there is a passage in Romans 14:12, and I am not sure I would be able to bring that up so quickly here to read it, but there
you said Romans 14:12?
Yes, Romans 14:12.
I have it at hand here. It says, so then every one of us shall give account of himself to God. But if the church is so strident against gambling, why isn't there a clear thou shalt not on this particular issue?
You mean in terms of a biblical passage?
Right, because this could cover a whole lot of things. You should give an account for every single thing, not just gambling. So why isn't there a clear thou shalt not, given how strident the church is on this matter?
It's okay. In terms, let me go back to creation. All right, there is another passage I wanted to look at. Look for 1 Corinthians 4 and verse 2 as well. But when we look back at creation, even in creation, God, when he made, and in terms of, using the resources, doing what had to be done, and bringing things together. All right, it was not a game of chance. He never waved a wand and said, let there be, and that is going to be there. All right, in terms of that position.
Bishop Goodman Bengucci, I'm going to have to invite you back on here, and so we can talk scripture on this particular matter of gambling. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but I'd definitely love to have the Jamaica Council of Churches and your good self back so we can talk about this. That's Bishop Christine Goodman Bengucci. She's the immediate past president of the Jamaica Council of Churches. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us.
All right, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
This is Lead Story. I'm Tyrone Reed. We talk everything here, including the scriptures. Soon come.
Heart of the Caribbean lies a beacon of financial opportunity. Welcome to Jamaica, where beauty and vibrance meet business and innovation. At the forefront of making Jamaica a robust financial hub, the Jamaica International Financial Services Authority leads the charge with trust and integrity.
Jamaica, make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out, don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6:30. I'm me, the stylist, no scam and not style me.
From the market to the farm to the office, money talk is everywhere. But are you making sense or nonsense? The Bank of Jamaica brings you common sense with BOJ. Real stories, real laughs, and real lessons to help you protect, grow, and manage your money. Mattress savings.
At least my mattress. You charge me to sleep on it.
Partner plan.
Remember last year we needed our payouts early? But Miss Pam gave it to her cousin first.
Or a sketchy loan flyer.
Electrifying deals.
See why making the right financial choices is pure common sense. Brought to you by Bank of Jamaica, empowering everyday Jamaicans one episode at a time.
Grandpa, it's 2026. You can't keep hiding all your money in every single pocket forever.
Welcome back to Lead Story. I'm Tyrone Reed. Now, Jamaica's regulated medicinal cannabis industry continues to evolve. The government has introduced amendments designed to make the industry more accessible, particularly for small farmers and community-based organizations. The new regulations create additional permit categories, streamline licensing, and reduce some of the administrative barriers that previously limited participation. The government says these changes represent a clear policy shift toward greater inclusion while maintaining regulatory oversight. But will these changes be enough to grow the ganja industry? Farah Blake, the boss, yes, of the Cannabis Licensing Authority, aka CEO, she joins me now. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you. Firm handshake there from the Cannabis Licensing Authority boss. Talk to us about the issues that you are facing in terms of getting individuals on board. And in a conversation I heard you on this morning, you were saying you must apply in your own person. That is important. Someone can't apply on your behalf. Have you had problems with individuals who've claimed to apply on behalf of someone else and that wasn't the case?
Well, one of the things that we must establish really early is the classification of cannabis. It is defined as a Schedule 1 drug. And the Schedule 1 drug is similar by definition to cocaine and heroin. And so while we're trying to navigate that situation, to create a sustainable industry, we have to have rules. We have to have a process, and we have to abide by the local and international treaties. With that said, a part of our process is due diligence. So we have to ensure that there is a reputable background, some fit and proper checks that are done. I can't do that for you, Tyrone, if it is that somebody applies on your behalf. I don't know if this is somebody who's doing it genuinely, or is it that a person is just using your name to apply for a cannabis license.
Which is really what I'm asking you. Have you detected fraud in the application process?
No, it is not fraud. We haven't detected fraud, but we just want to ensure that anyone who is coming to us for a license or a permit is doing so on their own behalf. And it is not a third party. It's not an agent. Or if it is that you have an agent, that you declare that in writing. I don't know all of the persons who are applying for these permits. We have no idea who they are. So we have to ensure that when we have an application, that it is authentically you.
I see the CEO has one of those ganja things on her lapel. You have a permit for that?
I'm allowed.
let me ask you, Farah Blake, this whole business of how much it costs, and of course the cost can be a barrier for some small farmers. The prices are quoted in US dollars, and that stood out to me.
That is correct. But
Why?
as I said,
Why is a government agency in Jamaica charging people in US dollars?
And if I had $1 for every time I heard
and it's
that
a reasonable question.
I know it is a reasonable question. However, it is written in the law. CLA has to, we are very closely aligned, our operations are very closely aligned to the legislation that is the Dangerous Drugs Act. And within that act, it is quoted in US dollars or the Jamaican equivalent. How does that sound? That's better?
No, I'm not so sure. Why is my government charging me in US dollars in a foreign currency? I think that is problematic.
It can be, but we do our best to try to explain what the equivalent rate is. There's nothing that we can do about the legislation today, but we do take the concern that we have been getting quite a bit about the denomination of
exactly, I can understand. And the Cannabis Licensing Authority is, the parent ministry is?
It is the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce.
So perhaps this question is better put to the minister as to what was the raison d'etre behind quoting that application fee or licensing fee in US dollars.
I think the next time you see him,
perhaps we should. We definitely should ask the minister that.
Hill.
But in terms of where the industry is now, this push to get small farmers into the industry, is it working based on what you're seeing so far in terms of the numbers?
So let us start with the rationale. In 2015, the law was amended. The commercial side was developed. The religious side was addressed. But the traditional farmers, those persons who have been growing ganja for decades, persons who would have gone to jail, persons whose life would have been interrupted because of their interest and the growth of ganja, those persons were not addressed. Yes, it was addressed through expungement and so on, but what of the historic relevance of those persons? And so with these changes to the regulations, we added 2 permits. Those 2 permits are designed to include traditional farmers. So it is a space, a 2-year program, wherein you can matriculate into the legal space. There's relaxed regulations. There is, of course, there's going to be due diligence. There's no fee, save and except for an application fee at the very beginning, which you're going to hate me again is $150 US.
We don't hate you, but I'm not so certain I want to hear it being quoted in US dollars. But so it's $150 for the application fee for small farmers.
Taro, and I'm going to tell you, we use the term traditional farmers, and people ask me all the time if they talk about small farmers. But in the context of the industry, who is a small farmer? Persons who are licensed, of the ones who are licensed, who is a small farmer? If you think of some of the more established brands within cannabis, you would say that those persons are, great, large producers of cannabis and so on. But one of the things that we use, one of the things that we use to define what a small farmer is in the industry is acreage. And the persons who are talking to me about getting into the industry, these people have tens of
traditional
acres
farmers
of
better describes them as opposed to small farmers.
And so they're not small.
Yeah.
And small in the sense of the industry or in a commercial space would mean that they are not producing much. If you have 7 acres of land, you are producing 7 times what one of our larger producers produce.
All right, so help me here. In terms of how much can be planted, after someone gets licensed, goes through the process, how much are they permitted to plant?
So with the Special Transitional Permit Program, that is an individual person who can apply. And when you apply for that and you qualify, you now have a permit for 2 years. You're issued with a developmental plan that is created through the CLA as part of our SOP. We have relaxed regulations, your surveillance. We take our time and help you to get within the 2 years to get all of the criteria that a regular licensee would have. On that 1 acre that you're planting, you can have up to 1,000 plants. The agreement...
So 1,000 plants per acre?
Per acre. Within the agreement, you can, or you have to have an agreement to sell this ganja to a licensed operator. So you can't just decide to harvest and decide that you're just going to sell it to anybody willy-nilly. Because within what we call the closed loop system, all licensees sell to each other. So every cultivator would sell to a retailer, to a processor.
Is there take-up?
Yes. As a matter of fact, the interest in the Special Transitional Permit Program, there has been a lot of interest in that. But interestingly enough, what we have found when we speak to the farmers, we start to talk to them about the license fee and what is required. They are now understanding that they may not need this permit program. They can just go directly for a license.
Or as opposed to trying to sell to someone else.
As opposed to try to sell to someone, as opposed to get into a program wherein, you know, it is probably a little more strict. The criteria, yes, it is relaxed, but there's more monitoring. And we tell you, we partner you with a licensed operator at the very beginning. So if it is that you go directly for your own license, you have the freedom to sell to any other licensed operator that you wish.
And what is there a strict restriction on what the ganja that is being planted by these license holders? Is it that you say it has to be for medicinal purposes, or it can be for people to smoke recreationally or medicinally? What is there a restriction on the use?
Well, Jamaica has a medicinal cannabis industry, which means that we're not just here smoking just for fun. We participate in cannabis. Some people don't smoke it. Some people use tinctures. Some people, they use it for different things, you know, for ADHD, different types of illnesses. And so the process, when you go into a retail establishment, you speak to a pharmacist or a doctor who makes a recommendation based on your symptoms or based on the issues that you have. And from that, this established retail licensed operator would now know that when Tyrone Reed comes, Tyrone has a case of ADHD, and this is what he uses to treat his ADHD so many times a week. So you have a record. There are some of our establishments that are very, very structured like that. And you have a record, you have an ID card for some of them. And when you go, they know they know why you're there, and they know how to treat you.
All right, so let's backtrack because we're almost out of time. What occasioned the issuing of this release? What is the Cannabis Licensing Authority hoping to get across to the public?
So we have embarked on an island-wide tour, and we have made 2 stops so far. And one of the things that we've learned quite a few things, but one of the things that we realize is that there is a lot of misunderstanding about how the industry works. And there may be people who will just say, you know, I'm just going to send in a registration form. We don't want you to send in a registration form. We want you to deliver your registration form.
So come in your own person.
And bring your supporting documents. And at the end of this tour, which we're going to be in Dembe this weekend, by the way, and we have turned our Dembe excursion, we're calling it, into one of the stops on our island-wide tour. Because of this very thing. There are persons who met us in St. Elizabeth who are now saying, well, you need to come to Clarendon. So that's what Dembe is going to be. Clarendon will have 3 days as opposed to the 1 day that all the other locations have. But at the end of all of this, to answer your question, we want to see a more inclusive industry. We want to see more of these traditional farmers coming over because we're not going to lock you up. We're not calling the police. We have to establish an element of trust. This is what these programs do. It brings you out of the illicit space into a legal space. Whether you want to go directly, you realize you can pay for your license, or you want to go by way of these programs. We offer those mediums for you.
Well, we are out of time, but you heard it there from Farah Blake. She's the CEO of the Cannabis Licensing Authority. They're taking the high road to Denby. Yeah, this weekend. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for
being with us. Indeed, if we do get our Farah Blake to join us again, we'll talk some hard numbers in terms of how many people have signed up thus far. All right, this is Leach Story. I'm Tyrone Reed. We'll take the break right here and come back with more.
The Caribbean lies a beacon of financial opportunity. Welcome to Jamaica, where beauty and vibrance meet business and innovation. At the forefront of making Jamaica a robust financial hub, the Jamaica International Financial Services Authority leads the charge with trust and integrity.
At Hawkeye, we work hard to develop state-of-the-art security solutions like our new Total Connect smart home automation system that gives you 24/7 access to control your appliances, lights, cameras, and doors using your smartphone, tablet, or PC. As the most trusted electronic security company in Jamaica, Hawkeye has the fastest response times to get to you when you need us most. Trust Hawkeye's Total Connect. Hawkeye, securing what matters most.
Everybody want to see if a country right now.
One thing about Jamaicans, we might have differences, but we know when something is good for all of us. And when we work together against crime and violence, we are stronger than ever. And that's how we know the Citizen Security Plan can work.
That one that name CSP.
The Citizen Security Plan is an initiative of the Ministry of National Security in partnership with the European Union. It's an all-of-government effort to create safer streets and build stronger communities. Go to mns.gov.jm to learn how you can play your part.
Welcome back. Thanks so much for staying with us. This is Lead Story. It's our final segment for this evening's edition of the program. Now, FIFA has announced plans to create a new commercial subsidiary valued at an estimated $20 billion US. The organization intends to sell minority stakes of up to 20% to private investors while retaining control of football governance. FIFA President Gianni Infantino says the initiative will help generate more money for member associations, improve infrastructure, and grow the game globally. But UEFA has responded strongly, accusing FIFA of putting the soul of football up for sale. The debate goes far beyond finance. Who should benefit from the commercial value of the world's most popular sport? Can private capital help develop the game without influencing its future? Sports analyst Damian Gordon, he joins me now. Top of the evening to you, Damian Gordon. Welcome to Lead Story, my brother.
Hi, good afternoon, good evening to you and the viewers as well.
Indeed. Who is on the right side of this? Because you're hearing the arguments for and against Damian Gordon. Who is on the right side of this, FIFA or UEFA?
The people who stands to benefit will tell you that they are on the right side of that. And given what is happening with the global game now, FIFA continue to try and expand, and they will tell you they're trying to give more to member nations. As we currently in the current construct of FIFA, they give about $2 million annually to each member nation, and they're planning under this new dispensation by Infantino to try and expand that to about $8 million every 4 years. And as a sweetener, he's planning to try and give member nations what he call a capital payment of $20 million up front. So I think that could, tilt the boat a little bit, but we've seen a lot of pushback in the initial stage, but we all know that it's because they haven't had enough time, as they said, the stakeholders to try and discuss the ramifications of this. And that's why we're getting a lot of pushback right now. But given what we're hearing, you get the feeling that this plan might not happen. As to who are the ones who are on the right side of this, I think only time will tell.
Which is the other issue, because UEFA was saying that a lot of the conversation surrounding this latest move by Gianni Infantino, it happened in the dark, is basically what they're saying, and they're just being brought on board. Do we know enough about this initiative, Damian Gordon?
Well, what we do know is that there is this young man by the name of Joshua Kushner. He's the brother of the son-in-law of Donald Trump. And given if this was to go through his company, I think the name is Thrive Capital, formed back in 2009, that they would be in the front runner to take over, I think, between 20 and 41% of what you call international FIFA tournaments, including the World Cup. And so they're looking to raise something within the region of $4.2 billion, I understand, to try and buy that stakes. But you understand why people are pushing back is because you don't know what you're getting into when you find that you have private investors coming in and taking over football like that. And so this young man, nobody knows if he's going to be able to really market the game in such a way that it becomes equitable for everybody and without corruption. We know that FIFA, they don't run far from corruption. And what they're saying, though, Gianni Infantino, is that if this deal goes through, you can look at each member nation getting an additional $40 million annually. And that's a big jump if they're able to pull that off. But right now, the pushback is from UEFA. All 55 member nations have said, look, if you do not take this proposal off the table completely, our plan is to pull out of the FIFA World Cup. And you get the feeling that because of that threat, we saw that when FIFA proposed a new kind of a club tournament and the clubs were not in agreement with it, that also had to be shelved. And so you get the feeling that if the big nations say that they're not going to go along with it, I think that Gianni Infantino more than likely is going to back down. And we saw that this would have been maybe what you consider a hat trick of corruption, given the close ties with the current administration of the United States, Donald Trump. He gave him a bogus peace prize, and then, he formed a deal with FIFA and the Trump organization to lease properties from Trump Tower. And now this, trying to sell off a part of the FIFA World Cup to somebody as close to Donald Trump as the son of his brother-in-law, which we're not surprised.
You might add a fourth one to that, Damian Gordon, the Balogun red card that was rescinded in terms of him serving that suspension. And Trump did say he made a call. But what would that look like, Damian Gordon? That sounds more like a footballing nightmare, that you don't have the European nations participating in a World Cup.
Well, you get the feeling it won't happen. And also FIFA, they saw another pushback today from CONCACAF. We understand that CONCACAF had a meeting. I had a chat with one of the representatives out in Florida that they met today. And they've also pushed back all 41 member nations. I think you might be able to reach out to the Jamaica Football Federation to find out where they stand on this. And if they also agreed with the position taken by CONCACAF, given that the Reggae Boys or the Jamaica Football Federation rule under that body. But we understand that the CONCACAF members have also pushed back against this proposal. You get the feeling they're a little bit in the dark as to what it would entail. But we have known, and we see where that, where money is flashed about, people are easily corrupted, and there's no feeling in my head that if it is that FIFA were to be able to explain this in detail and show them that we could invest way more money than we're putting into football now, I wouldn't be surprised if some people are shifted to the other side of the discussion.
I did hear the president of the JFF say getting more money would be good, but they were kind of in the dark. And he's saying they spent so much time with the president prior to the World Cup, during the World Cup, and nobody knew about this deal. He kept his cards close to his chest on this one. Some of the detractors of UEFA might say they're trying to keep that global gap, that gap between those big footballing nations from Europe and elsewhere in the world, because that gap, the games in this World Cup showed you that gap continues to close, and perhaps UEFA is worried that 40 million US might close that gap even further. Are those detractors onto something?
That's a fair argument, if you want to call it that, because we know that what $40 million could do for a program like the Jamaica Football Federation, given the dollar value, if you want to call it that. But I don't think that right now the rest of the world, given all the resources, would still be able to just close that gap. It will take some time. Yes, that money would really go a far way. But I think that people are more worried about the corruption. That we know that FIFA and corruption goes hand in hand over the years. Gianni Infantino, I think he rose to prominence in 2016 when Sepp Blatter was booted out because of corruption, and so he faced some kind of challenge to win the presidency against Khalifa. And also understand that they're not possibly going to be putting somebody forward who is the president, I think, of Paris Saint-Germain Football Club to try and challenge him when he runs for re-election again. So there is a feeling that he has taken the game into Sepp Blatter kind of territory, and even worse probably. And so that is the big concern. I don't think that people are worried as to whether 40 million would go to some federation and that would close the gap on the Brazil and the United States of this world. But I think that's the corruption that people are worried about.
We're quickly running out of time, but I want to ask you this, Damian Gordon. Is UEFA fear mongering. The argument is that this is going to be 20%. To suggest that this 20% is going to dictate to the 80%, wouldn't that be the tail wagging the dog?
And we have seen situations like that before, and I wouldn't be surprised, because they tell you that, you know, the money talks and something else walks. And so if it is that these people are coming in and investing billions of dollars, you get the feeling that they could tilt the scale and somehow get FIFA to dance to their tune. And that's what people don't want. When you have people coming to invest, they are coming to make money. And on the back of the fact that this was the most successful World Cup in the history of the FIFA World Cup, you know, in which billions of dollars were made, and the prize payouts got even bigger. People are wondering now, why do we need a private group to come and take over FIFA competitions? That's just a recipe for disaster for some people. But of course, change is also something that drives fear into people. You never know what to expect, and so maybe that's some of the reasons for the pushback.
Indeed. And this argument about selling the soul of football, all these associations around the world, including FIFA, they do make money from football. Isn't that the case?
It is a money driver. And of course, every year we see it gets bigger and bigger. And one of the big competitions that FIFA now runs is the FIFA Club World Cup. And I understand that there are some English teams that were looking at the possibility that they too could be affected if it is that, you know, say for instance, UEFA teams were to pull out of this FIFA organization, so to speak, because of this new format that they are trying to propose. They too make a lot of money from the FIFA Club World Cup, and all the tournaments that FIFA have continued to introduce, we've seen increased price.